Welcome to Juvo Hub, your helping hand in property management education. We are so thankful that you have joined us, and please remember to follow and like us on your favorite social media outlet, which you can find in our show notes. Now let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Juvo Hub podcast, your helping hand in property management education. I'm your host, Jonathan Saar, and today is a very, very special episode for me and for the amazing guests that we have with us today. Our topic is on mentor programs and being a mentee. We're going to introduce our guests in just a moment. We're going to see what's available in our industry. Maybe there's some resources that you didn't know were available, and now you're going to be introduced to them. And also some amazing success stories that come with that. Mentoring and mentee type programs are an absolute must for any training and development program. So it is my esteemed privilege to introduce to you Tara Samuels, Lori Agudo, Scott Spanier, and Vanessa Grayson. We're going to hear from all of them. The component here today is to talk about multifamily mentor matchmaking. It's a program that Tara spearheaded. So we're going to turn it over to her for a minute just to give us some background about this program, what's its purpose, what it can mean for you and for your team members. And so we'll kick it to you, Tara. Tell us about this program. Give us the highlights of how it's benefiting our industry already.
Thank you, Jonathan. I feel fangirl for a moment because I've been listening to Juvo Hub for a long time. I take you guys on my walks. So, it's been great to have this platform. You guys put out some great content. So thank you for having us. I feel like in the 20 plus years I've been in this industry, half of that as a supplier and half on site, I found myself always searching for just that perfect puzzle piece of a person to really help my journey on both sides of the industry. And I was really finding that it was a bit archaic, or my companies didn't have a program. And so I let it go. But the last couple of years, as I built a networking website for this industry, I've seen a lot of people in conversation talk about mentorship, but really didn't know where to go or how to navigate, or maybe their company didn't offer a program. And so it took some courage, and the folks on this call know I've shared this story with them, but I really, for a couple of years, wanted to launch this, but I got in my own way and was nervous and just didn't really have a template. And just one day, I finally just decided to do something about it, even though I didn't really have a blueprint. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just felt like I needed to take action because I think, to your point, there is a need for mentorship at every level. And a lot of people think that it's just for people that work on site, or maybe you have to be a certain title or certain tenure in the industry. And that's, I'm here to disrupt all of that. I think that's not true. And really the timing of why I launched this group in January was because one of my own mentors passed away. And I really, that was like one of the catalysts that made me just kind of get off get out of my own head and say, you know what, let's just do this. Let's just go for it. And then as it would turn out, and I don't think I knew this when we launched in January, but President Biden actually declared January the National Mentoring Month for our country, which I had no clue, but we launched in January. So I thought it was pretty timely. And so this group is just all about being supportive and having an approachable platform to bring people together, because I think sometimes mentorship could be stuffy. And I'm really here to humanize it and just, allow people to share their stories as it pertains to multifamily.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting yourself out there to do this. And I see all the buzz on social media. I see all of the emails. Everyone's excited about it. and
Yeah.
you and I had our own conversation, and I'm totally with you. It's just, it's been a need. It's been tried in many different fashions or companies have tried to put something like this together, but to have such a nice global network where people can pull from is just astounding. So thank you so much for doing that. So now it's going to be awesome just to hear some stories on where we're at with that. And, feel free to jump in anytime, Tara, as we dive into this conversation. We've got our 3 bonus guests with us today who work with amazing groups. So Lori, please tell us who you are. Where do you work? Why is this program so special to you? Let's hear your story.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Jonathan, for having me on the show in the first place. Thank you, Tara, for the invitation. And well said, very heartfelt about how you even launched this group. Tara has been somebody I have followed and kind of fangirled over. So anything she was involved in, I had to jump in on. But I am the Director of Training and Talent Development for Royal American Management. We are a large management group headquartered out of Panama City, Florida. However, I am located in Orlando, Florida. We have about just over 27,000 units and 331 properties over 11 states. My department is responsible for all training initiatives between operations and corporate support. So we support around 860 employees. No pressure, right? So with that said, training and development is a passion of mine. It always has been. Back to my days on site. I did start out in the field as a leasing consultant 17 years ago. And one of the things that was also lacking at the beginning portion of my career was not having a mentor to kind of guide me as to where I wanted to go, where I could go, or what I was even capable of. So much like Tara, I spent a lot of time getting in my own head. And there's always that little voice that tells you, no, you can't, or that's out of your reach. And so fast forward to years later, at a Florida Apartment Association conference, I would meet a mentor that would literally change the trajectory of my career. And that's Dr. Debbie Phillips. A lot of us in the industry know her. She's an industry titan, public speaker on the national level. I can't say enough wonderful things about her. She's my adopted mom. Yep. Believe and succeed. You got to have one.
Absolutely.
And so she has transformed my life. Honestly, she's not only been someone I can rely on from a personal perspective, but from an industry perspective of being an educator. And not only for our organization, I've been an industry educator for the past 6 years. So I teach on a local, state, and national level, and am a part of this public speaking circuit. And that's something I joined last year. None of that in my mind would have ever been possible without having a mentor like Dr. Debbie. Again, getting in your own head, you convince yourself that that's out of reach. I'm not capable. I can't do that. And she's there to show you that, yes, you can, and let me show you how. And so everything from a concept for a presentation to the outline to actual speaking points and the final slide deck for the presentation, I run everything by her. And she gives me honest feedback that helps me to shape that presentation and actually be able to deliver it, and be able to engage my audience and have them feel like they got what they came for. Let's face it, conferences are not inexpensive. It's time spent away from work. There's also, again, the cost of attending, the cost of travel in some cases. So you really have to make sure if you're standing in front of an audience to speak to people, that they get what they came for, because it's not about me, it's about them. And so in joining this group, as soon as I saw that Tara had launched this group, I was immediately interested because I know what an impact it's had on my career. And how it's been life-changing. And now it's kind of the pay it forward concept, right? Yeah. I want to do that for someone else, even if it's not public speaking that they desire, in any way that I can help them realize their own potential, realize their own goals, and help them get there either through conversation, resources, or just being support. Sometimes it's just being a cheerleader, and just hearing someone out and just encouraging them to just take that next step you've got nothing to lose, right? And everything to gain. And so that's what I hope to share with the mentees that I have, worked with through this group. And I cannot express how great this group is enough. Just the networking, the camaraderie amongst our group of people, our membership. I mean, we have just a vast group of people in all different positions, and everybody kind of puts their best foot forward. Either they want to be a mentor or mentee or both. And so you have both options through this program, but we're all there for each other. When we get together and we have our group, chats, it's amazing. Everybody's just so encouraging of one another. It's really just a feel good, conversation. It feels like a warm hug, which is an incredible feeling considering it's virtual, right? And we have, in most cases, not met in person, but that's the power of this group. So
beautiful, beautiful. What a nice tribute to Dr. Debbie, to this group, and to mentoring a mentee, being a mentee as a whole. So thank you so much, Lori, for your comments. And we're going to circle back on some of them too, because I think there's some takeaways that we want the audience to focus on. But let's get to Vanessa Grayson. Vanessa, thank you for being on the show today. Tell us who you are, where you work. What is your mentor-mentee success story? What do you got?
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute privilege to be here. And Tara, I'm so excited for you and all the growth that you've experienced in a very short amount of time. So I'm just super humbled and grateful to be able to be part of it. So thank you so much. But Jonathan, as you mentioned, my name is Vanessa Grayson. I'm a business manager with Lincoln Property Company, and we are nationwide, but I am right smack in the center in Kansas City, right in the middle of Tornado Alley with a reigning Super Bowl championship football team. So I will take the good and the bad together. But with Lincoln, I oversee an opportunity asset here in Kansas City of 400 units, managing just a very challenging site at this point in my career, but you don't put your best players on the bench, so I'm always up for a challenge for sure. But I essentially joined this group because I think there is still people out there that are kind of navigating the waters on their own. And I can attest to that fully. I've been in this industry for about 8 years and started as a leasing and marketing professional, and was very shortly an assistant manager. And I became a property manager rather young and pretty quickly. And there are just certain things that I really had to figure out myself. Not all companies have these large amounts of resources, whether that be physical resources or tenure in the industry as well, because some companies are still just starting out on their own and trying to navigate those waters. So what's really important to me is just to change the understanding that you're not here by yourself and you do not have to do these things alone. And as much as I was able to figure out by myself, there are amazing people like Lori that I've been paired with that can provide you resources and education and encouragement and empowerment when you need it. And sometimes you just have to go to those people that are outside resources to have those things within you fulfilled. It's you just get a different perspective, and sometimes that's exactly what you need to get the job done. But I think most importantly for me at the end of the day is with a new generation of leaders coming in is that, we have an opportunity to respect, pay homage, hear out the people that paved the way for us, but then also to teach them some new things along the way too, and just make sure there's a full exchange of power in what we do, and that we always have an opportunity to bring something new and innovative to the table collectively.
I love it. I love it. It sounds like I can remember so many times, Vanessa, where I've picked up that phone to that person and I just needed to talk to them. And it's like, then everything kind of like came together on the problem that I was working on. And often they didn't say a thing. It's just, I had someone that I know I could go to that would pick up the phone and help me as I was trying to advance some project or some program. So beautiful testimony. I love it. Thank you so much. All right, my man from Mexico, calling us from Mexico, Scott Spanier. What's going on, man?
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show. Who are you? Where
Thanks.
do you work? And give us your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jonathan. So I am working at a startup called LetHub. We're AI leasing, and I am based out of Victoria, British Columbia. So, coming down to Mexico is a bit of a shift, still keeping it international for most people in this industry. And it's been quite the interesting journey that I've been on because I'm relatively new to the multifamily industry, where not only did I have my background in more so just business sales and development, but I also started out in the rental industry working with a lot of single family companies and understanding their problems to help them out through software. When I then realized that multifamily was a space that we were going to be capable of working with, I immediately hopped on LinkedIn because everyone just kept saying, LinkedIn is a place to be. It's a very helpful tool. And very quickly, I realized that, people like Tara were creating these groups that were allowing for connections that I never would have had any access to without it. And so I met people like Lori who gave me so much advice on, being able to ask questions, ask for help, honestly. And that's been very, very beneficial for me in that I've met so many wonderful people. And most people in this industry, this is something that I really, really appreciate. Most people are wanting to help in any way they can. And it's a great community. So having, this mentor matchmaking group to make that ask and then also find ways of potentially trying to help other people through my own connections has been really wonderful for me. It's been a real pleasure, and I'm super excited to see, what else comes of it.
That is awesome. And I love the uniqueness of each of your stories, different points of your career, very unique situations and what you're dealing with, and yet seeing the benefit of what Tara has put together and the benefits that come from being part of a mentorship group. So, Tara, I want to swing it back to you for a second, and then we'll get some comments from our guests. So far, you've put together this amazing group. What does it look like? I think from our audience's standpoint, they're wondering, okay, I'm really short on time, or how do I make this work? What is my commitment to being a mentor or to being a mentee? Can you give our audience a little bit of an idea of what that looks like?
Sure. I'll tell you, as of this morning, we are 145 members, and it's balanced, just for perspective, almost 50-50 with those that have, on-site experience at any level, as well as suppliers. So it's a healthy mix. We have a great diverse background of experience. We have like the newbies under a year, all the way up to folks like myself and Lori, who have been in this far too long sometimes. We are in the process, and everyone's heard me say this. This group is being run by myself, so it's a passion project, labor of love. But there will be very shortly a gallery of people who are available as a mentor or mentee on the website. But really, what's beautiful about this group, and I think why it's growing organically the way it is there isn't a specific time frame or cadence that you have to commit to. In fact, there have been some people who have joined and then have stepped back and said, gosh, I don't feel like I'm serving myself and your group well. Can I pause my quote membership? There is no strict rule. I've set it up to where this is a casual platform because, in my opinion, if you have to take some ownership for if you're going to be a mentee and or mentor, there's some accountability that comes with that. And so really, we're all professionals here. We might be at different levels in our multifamily world, but there needs to just be a commitment to yourself. And if you are paired with somebody at your own request, that you are honest with me and that person, that if for some reason your bandwidth has changed, whether it's you can take on more or take on less, the communication piece and me just staying involved to make sure that, everyone feels supported. That's all that I ask. So there isn't, I think that's what's welcoming about this. It's not like you have to do something once a week or twice a week or even once a month. I have structures in place to allow people to get to know one another. We have, we just changed it as of Friday, but we are now doing 2 informal meet and greets per month, which basically just means we all get together once or twice a month for an hour. It's set up like an open house. So if you can only come in for 10 minutes and just meet people, say hi, and then you've got to run to another call, totally fine. The point is they're all recorded, is we want to lend some life to this gallery of people. And so if someone, let's say, was really interested in getting to know Lori and they're like, oh, I'm fangirling Lori and I want to know her, if they get to hear her talk for 5 minutes on a call, then they feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, I feel like I might know her a little bit more. So we're human. We talk about a lot of fun things, but we also talk a lot about a lot of industry specific things too. Last Friday, we all answered the same question about how this group specifically can help people get to their 2023 professional goal. So it's about creating that network of support and safety. So I love the fact, in my opinion, that there isn't like a structure of like, you have to do this or you're out. We even have some folks, Jonathan, that are in between jobs right now. And that is crucial to feel supported and maybe just have that phone call of like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't know where to turn, but gosh, it's really cool to have this safety net of this group because we're all positive people. So it's great. It's growing like crazy. My goal for 2023, I announced on Friday, was to get to 300 members. I think we can do it. But hopefully that answered your question. So it's really just be honest and vulnerable enough to share what your commitment level can be. And if it changes, just be honest and everyone can adjust.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing, Tara. Thank you so much. And you touched on a couple of things that I want to bring it back to our other guests and just get their comments on. So yes, of course, there is some time commitment. We only have so many hours in a day. But from my perspective, every time like I've made that call to a mentor or have been on that other side where I have been the mentor and am helping somebody out, the time that was invested is precious, is absolutely precious. And the time that was saved for whatever was being discussed was also precious. Because so to me, it's like being a mentor or being a mentee, either way, it's an investment that has amazing dividends that come from it. That's my message to all the new ones who are maybe hearing about your program for the first time.
Are your supervisors in compliance? When supervisors make mistakes, everyone is at risk. Compliance training lowers that risk. Juvo Hub is happy to announce its new online course, Sexual Harassment Prevention and Training for Supervisors. Learn more about this course at juvohub.com, your helping hand in property management education.
Lori, Vanessa, Scott, what are your thoughts? Anything you want to add to that and how you feel the benefits that come from taking that time out of your schedule? Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in first.
Okay,
just
thanks,
to kind
Lori.
of add to Tara's comments about time commitments. You know, I have a very tight schedule most of the time. And something my supervisor said to me kind of stuck with me. And that's something I want to share with the group. You make time for what's important to you. This is important. This is something that you need to make time for, whether you're seeking a mentor or whether you're seeking to, become a mentor, make the time. Aside from that, one of the greatest things about this group is the flexibility where it is open. There is no pressure. You can get out of it what you want or need out of it. And so with that said, as serving as a mentor in this program or any other for that matter, one thing that's important to me, my very initial, communication with my mentee is asking them, what are you comfortable with? How often do you want to meet? What is priority to you at this point in time? And are there any actionable items that I can help you with in the immediate future? And so kind of really having that open dialogue to kind of discuss expectations on both sides I believe sets up a strong relationship between mentor and mentee.
Love it. Thank you. Vanessa or Scott, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Lori nailed it. You absolutely make time for what you want to make time for. You're completely open to create your own blueprint in this, but also with the understanding that you get out of it what you choose to put into it. That's a choice. And I think every time Lori and I speak, we have things that we want to dive into, and then it just like takes us everywhere. But I think that speaks to like just how we operate and who we are, because sometimes it's things like, I have this list, like I really want to talk to Lori about this, and then we just like start ping-ponging off of each other. But that's what leads to like very fulfilling and great and gratifying conversations at the end of the day. But you can always sacrifice however long your calls are, that 30 minutes or that 45 minutes, that hour, with the understanding that that hour will probably gain you back 8 hours, 24 hours, so much longevity and the resources that you're able to capitalize off of. Just encouragement when I get it. I got it from Lori, like on our last call, and like that has been my mindset ever since. So there's not even a time cap on some of these things that you're putting in an hour, and you're getting back things that don't have an expiration date. And that's something super important to understand.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely echo everything that's been said. It is something where it does feel at times like, your day is so busy, and how are you going to make it fit in? But the ability to meet people, especially when I think for anyone who's a mentee like myself, it is so rewarding. You will most definitely make relationships that you had no chance of making, and you're going to get out what you put into it. Vanessa's spot on with that. It is very much something where at times I've felt like my life is everywhere. I'm going to Mexico. I'm doing all these things. I can't keep up. And so I can take a step back and feel very comfortable with that, knowing that we have these expectations in place, and that, we're not trying to give ourselves homework. We're trying to build a relationship that's going to help everyone in the long term. So, just go for it. Take 5 minutes of your day, even if it's to just talk to one person who's new, and you never know what that'll help you with in the future.
Excellent. Yeah. Amazing testimonials.
Add something?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it, Tara.
I was just gonna say, to your point, Scott, like we may only have a couple of minutes. And so if you can't make one of these scheduled calls that I have, they're always recorded so you can catch up at your own time, but we've got a Slack channel. And that's been nice too. I saw something really cool last Friday. Someone was looking to see if someone in the group used a particular platform or software. I'm not familiar with it, but what I saw was everyone in the group jumped in, started chatting, supporting. Eventually that person got their resource. She was connected with the resource she needed, but she had about 4 or 5 people in this group kind of jump in and say, how can I help? I can set up a call. What do you need? And that's the theme of this entire group. We also have a private LinkedIn group that once you join, you get to be a part of that. And I know over time, the conversations will start to flow kind of more naturally. We have a channel just for birthdays. I try to do as much personal recognition. We found out on a last call that some people in this group are athletes and triathletes. Like there's so much that comes out of these conversations. It's not just business, because everyone that knows me, like I'm human. So we're going to talk about human fun stuff too. But that's what the Slack channel is for too, is we're trying to provide different ways that maybe people are comfortable to connect with one another if you don't want to jump on a call.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you, Tara. You've all said some things that just made me reflect on my conversations with property management companies over the years. Mentoring programs have always been a very difficult thing to implement, or maybe make it sustainable and keep it so that the value is always there. And I wondered what everyone's thoughts were on my feeling is like this is contagious. Like just seeing what has happened to this group, the enthusiasm, the organic reach that it's having right now. What I would love to see is that's these same principles be taken back to our individual companies and putting them into place, because I feel like, okay, so I work for Lincoln Property Company, and it's been a hard thing to get that ball rolling, but I'm going to learn a lot from what I'm involved in right now with this exterior program. And it's giving me the fuel to be able to successfully put something like that in place for my company, for all the new ones that are coming in and so on. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you feel like there's some potential for what you could bring back to your individual organizations? Lori, what do you think?
Well, I can tell you, actually, we are doing just that.
Okay.
Our organization is actually in the process of creating a career pathing program that's essentially going to lay out every path to every position within our organization, both on the operations side and corporate support. And there will be a mentorship program with career pathing. And so that's how we're kind of tying the two programs together. It's taken us a long time to get here. I won't say it's been easy, but I will say that we did first identify some key players that could have this conversation, and those key players played different roles within our organization, from community manager to regional vice president, so on and so forth. And so having the conversations, having those roundtable discussions was kind of step number one. What do we need to do? What does that need to look like? And who needs to be involved? After that, then it's more like, how do we develop this program? What are the specifics from an education, job shadowing, and mentorship aspect? I have been able to contribute to that conversation because of my industry involvement. To kind of piggyback, Jonathan, some of your comments about bringing in a mentorship program to your company, being involved in the industry, all of those resources, all of that information, everything I learned from the outside, so to speak, is all brought back to our organization. It's one of the reasons I'm so heavily involved in the industry, on a local, state, and national levels, because it's a learning opportunity. I also feel like industry involvement and volunteerism specifically has helped me to be a better leader, and most certainly a better training director in the type of information that I'm able to bring back to our employees. So it's all relevant and it's all necessary. It's not going to be easy, but the work will be worth it. If you are not the decision maker within your organization, you can still have an influence over a company considering this type of program. Most organizations have some type of suggestion box or some way that you can communicate, for example, with your corporate office to contribute ideas and what you would like to see from the company. Maybe it's employee engagement surveys. I know a lot of organizations, do them for various reasons. So have that conversation, with your immediate supervisor. And, I would preface this with, as an employee, I would like to see something like this implemented in our organization. What role can I play in us considering this as an organization? And I think when you frame it in that respect, you'll receive that respect, and that, can start a dialogue. And that could be step number one. That could be your foundation for building upon this program.
Awesome. Thank you. Vanessa, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I just have a bit of a different perspective. Lori being in the learning and development and training role, I am a little bit more removed from that in my company. My company has a very strong mentorship program for our new hires. But kind of what are we doing to continue their longevity, their access to education, kind of along the way, so they continue developing and growing. I think it's really important for everyone to develop into a mindset. The benefits that you can take away from having your own exterior mentor-menteeship, relationship, is that you can come back and you can literally lead from any seat that you're in. you have an opportunity to bring that information back. Like for me specifically, it's my team. And so I mirror a lot of what Lori and I discuss and what we go through. And another mentor that I have as well, Miss Marcy French, I mirror a lot of that and I take it back to my team members. And I go outside of that. It's people that have reached out to me that are in the industry, and I feel so humbled, and I'm like, you're reaching out to me, like, but I've taken the things that the tips and trades that I've learned from Lori and Marcy, and I give that to someone else. And as long as you're continuing the cycle of pouring back down into you, like it will literally, it's continuous. It'll never fail every single time, because at some point they're going to be like, Vanessa taught me something that I learned from Lori, that Lori learned from Debbie. And we're going to keep, infiltrating people's minds with just access and opportunity, and just that opportunity overall to see their own development. But then at the same time, it just really goes back to how bad do you want it? Like if I sit here and I spend this time with you and I'm working to develop you, I would fully expect that. And I'm sure Lori has this expectation of me that I'm just giving back to someone because someone gave something to me.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Scott, any thoughts on your end?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that comes to mind is the context of this being something that's maybe only relevant in larger companies is not necessarily true. This is something that, of course, with corporate training and these several hundred person teams, it makes a lot of sense to have initiatives in place and have structure around it. But for myself, being at a company that's not nearly at that scale, we have about 15 or so employees right now. It's still very applicable, right? I have my team that I can take these best practices from Lori around like setting expectations and giving yourself some sort of guideline to work off of, and translate that into conversations with my team to help them develop in their role and learn about what this industry has to offer. So it's any company size, it doesn't have to be super formal. It can be very casual. It's whatever you want to make of it.
That's awesome. Awesome. So Tara, I see huge stamps of endorsement happening here. Stamp. Yeah. It's and I appreciate all of your comments in the relation to just the bigger picture. We pride ourselves, our industry is a very kind industry. It is a very helpful industry. I remember that back when I jumped into the industry in 2008, and I was blown away. I was blown away at the level of love. Dr. Debbie was one of the first persons I met in the industry, being here in the Atlanta area, and I never forgot that. And the list goes on and on of all of those that have helped me throughout the years. So Tara, you have hit a gold mine, Thank you so much. And I think of it from all of our listeners' perspective. If you don't have something in place right now, a mentoring program, this is where you need to be. This is where you need to jump in, see what it's like, and see how it can benefit you and your organization. So thank you, everyone, for being on the show today. I want to go right back around again, though. Today's objectives were, number one, we needed to learn a lot about what Tara's put together. And we also need to know the benefits that come from it. And your testimonials have been amazing. We'll start with you, Lori, and then Vanessa, and then Scott. If you were just to sum up, what would be your takeaway summary of the benefits of being in a mentor program and why our audience needs to get in touch with Tara today?
The benefits, as to what Vanessa said earlier, there's no expiration date on the value of being a part of this program, the value of serving as a mentor, the value of being a mentee. And to echo Scott's comments earlier about, being whether you're at a smaller organization or a larger organization, there is still a way for you to kind of pay it forward and really share best practices, resources, and really support to each other no matter the size of your organization, even if you don't have a formal program in place, really just taking somebody under your wing. I have mentees outside of this program that have now since joined this program because they've seen the value of, having a mentor and now are now serving as a mentor themselves. And so this is a very warm, kind of loving industry, to echo your comments, Jonathan. And so don't be afraid. It might seem maybe a little scary when you put yourself out there, especially if you're newer to the industry, or even if you're just a seasoned veteran, but maybe, you've only been exposed to certain, individuals in your career. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't be afraid to just meet new people. There is so much value in a mentor-mentee relationship from both a personal and business perspective that will take you through the course of your career. You'll never forget that first person that really made you believe in yourself and helped you to get to where you're going. It's life-changing.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Lori. Vanessa?
Yeah, I think there's so much opportunity, benefit, value, just an all-around feeling of just empowerment, to know that there are people out there that want to help you. And that comes into play so much when you begin to feel stagnant. And I think it goes back to some things that Lori said earlier, just in regard to maybe some complacency with where you're at, but there's just so much benefit in knowing that there's someone rooting for you. So even if that is the thing that you take away the most, maybe it's not a resource, maybe it's not a new best practice or a new policy to put in place at your company. It doesn't always have to be those things. So just to have gratitude and grace in the fact that you can take away something so small, but so powerful at the same time, and it's as simple as someone just telling you that you can do it and that you have support from the exterior. But also just imagine living in a world where everyone thought the same and had the same way of life, and you weren't able to share, different backgrounds, different cultural experiences, just different life experiences overall. And if that is the most that you take away, probably like that's the most powerful and intricate and most riveting thing that you're taking away, and you just have no idea. But you're going to have that aha moment, and you're going to be working through something where you're just like, oh my gosh, and it all comes together. And that is my thought for everyone to join this group, is that they get to experience their aha moment, and then they will be so heavily vested in what this can do for them in the future.
Brilliant. Thanks, Vanessa. Scott?
Yeah, I love what you were just saying, Vanessa, and it made me think of just last night. I had a very long conversation with somebody about the butterfly effect, and it's that thing where you don't know it at the time, but that one small instance, that one small choice completely changed your life. And those are very powerful experiences, and who knows what relationships you could build. But I've found that most butterfly moments in my life that I've been able to pinpoint back to all start with a conversation with somebody. So you don't know where it's going to begin, but why not start that conversation and see what comes of it?
Brilliant as well. Thank you so much. So, Tara, standing ovation for you, my friend. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. It's been an amazing show. I'd like to turn it back to you for your concluding comments, and how can people connect with you, connect with the group?
I feel very humbled, you guys, by this. I mean, just to see how, if I didn't make that move, this wouldn't be a conversation that we're having today. So like just how you guys have all been saying, like to just be courageous to join the group, just to find your own voice, find a mentor, be a mentor. Dr. Debbie Phillips is part of this group. She was one of our speakers. I fangirl her constantly. In fact, her endorsement was kind of what I needed to make this group kind of go, right? Like, I'm like, okay, somebody really thinks this is a good idea. I'm all over LinkedIn all the time. That's really how this group got started. And but the website for the group is ampyournetwork.com, and AMP stands for Apartment Management Professionals. You'll see a link anyone that wants to join this, it doesn't matter your experience. Even if you don't have a job momentarily, the only requirement is that you have to be in the multifamily industry. There's a questionnaire to join. It's very simple. And along the way, I'm here to support you. I set up one-on-one calls if people need that. If they're not ready for it, then they can join the group calls. But really what I just want people to take away from this is I help you match with somebody. So you're not doing this alone, and I'll help guide you through the process. It can seem overwhelming, but beside myself, you've got these great folks on the call and 140 others. So you're not going to feel alone, definitely. And we're fun. We're a fun group.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Those links will be in the show notes as well. They'll be on the blog and on the podcast show notes. So everyone, please check that out. So thank you again, Tara. And Lori, how can people connect with you?
LinkedIn, just like Tara mentioned. You can look me up by my name, Lori Agudo. I will gladly accept your request, and I'm here to assist in any way you need, whether it's you need a cheerleader or a resource or whatever the case, or just a chat. I always make myself available. Again, I always make time for things that are important to me, and this is very important to me. So please reach out. I would love to be a part of your journey.
Love it. Thank you so much, Lori. Appreciate that. Vanessa, how can people connect with you?
No surprise. I am on LinkedIn as well. I think I probably wake up in the morning and open my LinkedIn app before I open anything else. But I am on LinkedIn as well under Vanessa Grayson. Just as Lori mentioned, I am definitely working through a phase in my life and shifting a bit from mentee to mentor, but I'm a lifelong learner, so I'll always probably be a mentee. But I'm more than happy to connect. I'm very early in my tenure and I have plenty more years to go, but I've had the opportunity to work with some phenomenal individuals, and I'm super excited to continue giving back.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry as well, Vanessa. Appreciate you. My friend Scott, how can people connect with you?
You better believe it's LinkedIn. It's Scott.
Was it
Spanier.
MySpace? You don't have a MySpace account?
Well, I'm active on MySpace, but let's stick to LinkedIn.
Okay,
No. Yeah, it's Scott Spanier, but phonetically it makes no sense. So Spanier. I'm not cheering. There's no yay at the end of my name. But yeah, LinkedIn. I love connecting with anybody on there and keeping it very lighthearted on LinkedIn.
Perfect. All that will be in the show notes as well, so people can connect with you. So thank you again, everyone. What an amazing show. A lot of wonderful takeaways for all of our audience who have been wondering if they should dip their toes into a mentoring program, being a mentee. I think there has been plenty of concrete evidence and people testifying this is where we need to be. So thank you again, Tara, for helping me organize this recording today to have these wonderful guests. We thank you for being on the show. Until next time, class dismissed. Take care, everyone.